Challenge your potential and the sky's the limit. Join me, Emily Ibbott, in a diary to empower. From a starting point of a love for dance, my life has evolved, but along the way, I've learned so much in how we develop, learn and grow from those around us to elevate us even further on. Be inspired and be open to learn, and no limit will ever exist. Come along with me on my own journey in personal development, but with guests who have empowered me and are still doing so in my own journey. Hello and welcome back to this will be episode 3. So on my previous episode, I have spoken about my journey to being a PT, and we have my first guest. It's Luis. I'm good. Thank you for coming on.
No worries.
I know you're a busy bee. I'm flying off to Bali next week, which I'm so jealous of. But yeah, so I just thought I'd bring you on and just speak about more how the PT route is, like your experience and sort of what you're doing now, but also like experience between us. I know we used to work together and we've done on the floor, we've been online coaching, and yeah, the rest is history. But so how do you find, like from when you started, from when you did your course, like way back when?
Such a mess. So I qualified in 2017.
Oh my goodness.
So what, six years ago? So yeah, it was a lot different to what it is now. I did mine in person. I think we did the same course.
Yeah, Premier Global,
yeah. But I did mine and then just sort of never used it for 2 years after that.
I find it crazy with some of the PT courses, because there is some information that I find with clients that goes like, it's not necessary to always spiel off the exact muscle or the exact name and all the technical stuff, and it just goes straight over their head. Whereas actually it's like, okay, well, this is what I need to know, but actually you're probably not interested in knowing that, but just sort of how the muscle's moving and things like that. I find that from more in person compared to online coaching.
I think it's very much like when you drive. All the stuff that you learn in the driving course, when you learn to drive, you don't really use. And they say like, you learn to pass the test, then you learn to drive. It's very much the same PT. You have to learn these things. I think someone said to me was think science, speak client. So we learn all those things to be able to use them, but not necessarily say it to a client. Yeah,
that's such a good way of putting it. I've never thought about that. And it's awesome working with people like in person as well. Did you go straight into being in
I
person?
qualified 2017 and then I left to go back to Tenerife, thinking that in my mind it was like, right, I'm going to PT, I'm going to move back to Tenerife, and then that's it. I'm going to stay in Tenerife and do whatever. I ended up going back into a restaurant, just working as a barman, and then I had like PT clients. I kind of just stopped after that.
Was that whilst you were, or when you were back here?
No, it's in Tenerife. So I had the idea of going to do it there, realised it's a little bit harder. People don't have disposable income. People that go to Tenerife are mainly on holiday.
Yeah.
So I had a couple clients, but I wasn't as invested. And then it got to the end of 2018 and I was like, right, I'm just bored of being like a barman now. I want to do the thing that I originally set out to do. Yeah. And that's when I come back and I started in Pure Gym here. Okay. Which was the end of 2019, and that's how it's gone.
Which Pure Gym did you?
Woking.
Woking. Yeah. Yes. And I find from when you do, everyone's got their own little journey from when they set out to do the PT course. Because I find a lot of people also sort of there's quite I'm going to do a PT course, and it's actually when you start to action what you're doing and actually map it out, it always seems a little bit more complicated than I think people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a personal trainer, and actually the ins and outs of it. Which is always a bit tricky, and then sort of jumping into the self-employed and sort of realising how that works, how gyms work, and it's sort of difficult to sort of then find your grounding, I find, with that. Yeah,
I think I don't know about the courses now, but certainly back then it does not prepare you for all the stuff that you're about to embark on.
No, I wish they did.
Oh, God.
About tax and anything like that. They don't teach you anything about that, just obviously the course itself. I mean, I did mine all online. Through COVID, which was amazing, because obviously I had nothing else to do, which was fantastic. But yeah, and then throwing it in the deep end, fortunately my dad's self-employed, but I was like, how does one do this? Which is always difficult. And I sort of I did some online classes, so COVID kind of leapt me into that, which I spoke about in the previous episode. But then I was sort of ready to jump in and sort of reach out to other gyms and see what was out there. So you started in Pure Gym in Woking?
I started, end of 2019 in Woking, and then I was there like 3 months, and then I went to Jets, and that's where I started. And we did 3 months there, and then COVID happened. So I kind of, from there, got thrown into the whole online stuff. But I'd only really done about 6 months of PT.
Yeah, and it's hard, I think. It's, I don't even know where to sort of direct this, but from like PT, you get so much experience on the floor, but you know, I can't even imagine how it's feel like, oh, gym's open for 3 months and then it changes again. But I think as soon as you go in person, it's so different to sort of how you kind of imagine it. You work with different people and you just kind of have to throw yourself into working with different clients. And it is so different because nothing in personal training or online coaching or nutrition or anything really is one size fits all. No. So you have to adapt so much, especially when you're on the floor, because especially different ages. But yeah, how did you find it when you first...
It was quite tough. I think the average lifespan of PT is 6 months. For that reason, that you just get thrown into the deep end. And you just got to try and figure it out. At first, I was kind of blindsided. I was like, yeah, I'll do PT for 2 months and then I'll be on rent. The rent at Pure Gym Woking was £800.
Oh my
so obviously you've got to make that money, then make money afterwards.
Yeah.
I soon got a slap in the face in reality of like, this is not going to happen. I was quite shy at first and I didn't want to speak to people. So I remember I used to sit at the gym and cover every single class because that was my way of like, oh, if I'm in the class, they have to speak to me. I didn't really like going up to people.
And also, I suppose you have to speak to them as well if you're doing the class.
So I don't know, now looking back on it, I'm surprised I didn't have any clients. I didn't speak to anyone. But I would sit at that gym for like 10, 12 hours. I would get in at like 8 if I didn't have a shift or if I did and just sit there hoping that someone would come and speak to me so that I could like give them some advice. But yeah, I wasted a lot of time just like hoping people would come up to me.
Yeah, I think it's hard and there has to be sort of an element of confidence from us because I guess most of the people that walk through the gym aren't or the people sort of who come to us sort of for personal training. Yeah, it's quite a tough one and you just, especially with socials now, like everything is plastering over socials, you know, and that in itself I found was a tough job to learn and just to try and pick up and you've just got to throw yourself out there. And it's just so strange. You think like, oh yeah, it would just be easy. That'll be my job. And obviously for sort of people listening, when in personal training, sort of when you join a gym, you tend to like work some free hours on the floor. You either or pay rent or you can do half and half sometimes. It obviously depends on the gym, depends on whether it's an independent gym, whether it's a franchise and all of those different things. So it's always a jump when sort of you're pushing and you want to jump to rent because you want sort of to take on all those PT clients, but equally you're like, oh, I don't have any money to do that. And I don't have any clients, but I'm working 3 hours. So it can be really difficult. But it's sometimes I think you have to kind of make a little leap when you get to that point, especially just trying to grow sort of how your business is coming along. And it's just working with so many different people to find your niche. But I mean, what sort of like route did you tend to go down from when you went from personal training? And obviously I know you do a lot of online stuff now.
Yeah, I kind of just made it up as I went along, to be honest. It was just going from one thing to one mistake to the next, one setback to the other. I think there is a naivety of, especially when I first started, I was like, well, people are going to need me. Like, I'm a PT. They'll definitely like need clients, but you have to like sell it as well, and you have to get to know people, and it's a long-winded process. But in terms of finding who I wanted to, I think it's just there. It's just helping people. Especially when I was in Jets, I just did all the inductions and orientations. That was a way of finding out who you wanted to work with and you train people, because we've all had clients that I can't stand, but you're just like, you dread going to see them. Like. And
also you want the client to be as passionate as you are for their session.
Exactly.
Like when that light bulb moment clicks and you're there like just screaming at the side of the gym. I know a lot of my clients and friends are like, I can hear you before I see you. I know you're in here somewhere. And I think that's what you always want, and you want sort of your clients to be that passionate about their goals as well, because that's why they've come to you in the first place, which I guess is the most like the best bit. And I think from our point of view, like we have a great job, and getting them to believe in themselves, especially on the gym floor, it's incredible when they sort of can just understand movements, they feel healthier, something's easier, they can actually sort of connect sort of with what they're doing. But obviously then on the flip side of that, when you're sort of verging into online coaching, it changes a lot. So again, to sort of explain what online coaching covers, it's normally nutrition, you can do workout plans, we do all the variables outside. So as well as just sort of the gym, it doesn't have to be it's guiding people sort of with how their, I guess, lifestyle is set. And
it depends on the person is how they set it
Yeah.
out. But I've always said that online coaching, it's probably just a bit biased, but I said it's everything that PT should be, just not seeing you in person. Like PT,
Yeah.
you see them and you can correct their exercises, but online coaching is all the other stuff outside.
Yeah.
So it's the training, it's the lifestyle habits, it's their mindset, it's making
Yeah.
sure that being accountable, having the support. There's so many other areas to it. And I do feel like you sometimes need to do both. So like hybrid coaching, so you
Yes.
see them in person to teach them the basics.
Yeah.
But as well, you've got to make them, that's not self-serving, like be able to sort themselves out outside the gym.
Yeah.
You can't be reliant on the PT because a lot
Yeah.
of people do that.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people sometimes approach, I don't know whether you've ever had this, and it's like, fix me in 4 weeks, I've got an event next month. And you're like, sort of, and it's more you obviously PT comes and goes. It's the sort of the nature of the job as people sort of feel more confident over time, it's like, go spread your wings, like go, like, if you can do that on your own, like, and you feel confident with that and you feel like you've sort of overall, but equally it's sometimes, I think it's nice to look at it long term, like whether it be online coaching or personal training, because you want, like, it's a constant development. It's that constant accountability, which is the best bit. And I think we all thrive off accountability. And, when we've got sort of someone to tell something to, and it's like, we'll be your cheerleader, which is pretty cool. But yeah, online coaching it just goes into those more depths, I find, which is always just getting down to the nitty gritty and actually explaining things. It's not just, you don't want to just suddenly do a million workouts a week and cut back on everything. And actually it's the opposite. It's like, okay, what's manageable for you? What fits in for you? And I'm sure you found that with sort of clients as they've developed on, and sort of, I know you've got quite a lot of long-term clients as well, and how they've sort of pushed and things.
Yeah. And I think it depends on the coach, because we do have a lot of pushback from other coaches who, unfortunately, some people aren't in this for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And it gives people the wrong mindset of just like, okay, PT, well, what are you going to do? PT, you're just counting reps. I'm just seeing you, when then you're trying to say, no, I'm going to help you, like with the online
And in
stuff.
fact, you can't count reps.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably the last thing I can do. I've got a client that likes to regularly call me out on it, and I just accept that I can't count now.
I think that's a global thing. Yeah. Of not being able to count. But sometimes, they just have like a bad idea of it and don't see it for what it is. I think it's a lot more than counting reps, or it should be at least. It's not for everyone.
Oh, hugely. And you want them to leave like they've got that little bit further, or that little bit more inspired, or like, I find that really empowering, and so special as well, because or if they've messaged you after they've like just sent you that they've done a session in the gym on their own, or they've done this, or they really understood that, and you're like, yes, yeah, like keep going, and it's then okay, like working those little steps, and it's awesome, because I think the whole like diet culture has absolutely dampened everything sort of towards like us as PTs, and I think it just cuts out, I think so many people have got it drilled into their head, and Slimming World, Weight Watchers, all of those swear words, which we won't say, but it's I think it's actually teaching them to understand things. Like, it's all well and good me telling you how to do a press up, but like, why you want to feel a bit stronger in your upper body, because I find that, I don't know whether you've had this, and so many people and clients come to me and say, oh, I've got no upper body strength, but it's like, actually, do you understand like what we're doing, like how we're moving, like why we want to feel a little bit stronger, and why we do these exercises for that reason, what muscles they actually work, which is always nice to explain.
Yeah, I
find, like, when someone asks me a question, I'm like, oh, I can go full nerd now. But and obviously I went a little bit, my online slowly growing. I have my PT base, which I love dearly, and I found that it's in my own journey, because you've done some of your own transformation and stuff, and I find that sort of helps so much in order to explain things to people, which is, I don't know whether that helped sort of you, or sort of then pushed you further with online and understanding how people's body responds, and sort of what their needs are, and how you adapt this, and you know, with nutrition, it's sometimes people prefer like meal plans, macros, like teaching them what macros even is, like, and scanning things and getting used to those things. Like, how did you?
I think, well, linking back to what you said earlier, it's kind of leads to this, is the PT part. You've got to like be able to get the best out of people.
Yeah.
So your coaching style, that's the first thing, because you're going to meet so many different people. Some people will respond well to shouting at them. Some people don't want to be shouted at.
Yeah.
You've got to find what style it is to get the best out of people. I completely forgot the question now.
So I was just going into online coaching. So obviously we, like you had talking about different styles of coaching, and then sort of when you're into the online stuff, it's, you know, it isn't one size fits all in terms of like what their nutrition is and what suits them as well.
Yeah, it's like, well, yes, you're changing it, and that's what the coaching is. And I think that's where a lot of the problems with Slimming World and all that, it's like a one size fits all. It's like, this is the way, or it's no way.
Yeah.
Like, you can't change it. And this is where people get things wrong, because it's just like, if they don't do it well on Weight Watchers, they're like, well, I'm never going to get it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, you just got to find something that works for you. And unfortunately, even like the health clubs, but even PTs or health professionals don't understand the responsibility that they have, because it's all well and good. People come to you thinking, oh, I just want to learn how to squat. It's not really. Like, what you're learning in the gym is actually going to have a massive effect.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it anyway.
Yeah.
The stuff that you're doing in the gym is an implication of what they're going to do outside. You're going to give them the confidence in the gym, which is then going to give them the confidence in their relationship. It's going to give them the confidence in their job. It's going to give them the confidence in their other lives. So yes, you might think, oh, I'm just helping them lose weight. You're not. You're kind of changing their whole outlook on themselves and their life. Exactly. And the knock-on effect of that. Yeah,
hugely. And I remember some clients and sort of wanting to start with me, and actually she's still with me now. I won't say who. And, you know, she said, oh, I just want to be able to jump up and down at a concert without getting out of breath. Or another client said, oh, I want to bend down to the fridge without falling over. And to them, they're like, oh, it's so silly. And I'm like, no. That's great. Like, you know, and I think, and, you know, I've got, I do like focus on some of this with my sort of older clients as well. And they're like, oh, I just really, you know, it's such a slump getting on and off the sofa. No, don't let it be. Come on, let's like make that easier and have that fitness sort of feeling good for you. Like, because that's what's going to make a difference on your life, you know. And you want to sort of go traveling, you want to make things easier, and putting a rucksack on your back so it's not going to feel like an effort. Like, you want to be able to walk around London without coming back and feeling like you've absolutely like ran a marathon, and things like that. I think that makes such a difference. And when someone says those things to you, it's like, wow, like how much we can actually make a difference to people's lives in that sense. And I think that's really powerful.
That's why I think more people should do PT, because I think you get sometimes the question of, oh, well, you're just counting reps, you're just programming, like what is that? But I just think it's a lot more, because I always say to people, fitness is like the metaphor for your life. So a lot of people don't have confidence. They're not, they don't believe they can do things. So when you come into the gym, you don't believe you can squat. And then 6 weeks down the line, you're squatting with a barbell or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, I was wrong about that. What else was I wrong about? And sometimes it acts as like a little spark to look for other things. Yeah. So I think sometimes it's looking beyond that, of once you can conquer this tiny little thing of just getting yourself into the gym, beating your gym anxiety, losing a few pounds, getting into the old clothes, what are the implications for everything else you've been telling yourself you can't do?
And when you're so much more confident in yourself, I think that's one of the biggest things, and one of the biggest things that I preach with my team. You know, like, you can get confident. Don't say you can't, because there's only, you know, you've got to be really physically unable in order to not, you know, make those changes. Like, and that's really powerful. Like, if you feel confident, it's going to be in conversations that you have with people. It's going to show in your face. You know, when we feel good, we're like, oh, go us, which I think people forget. And like you say, with PT in person, like seeing that when they understand that and feel confident, and oh, I couldn't do this or I could do that. And I had a client jump on a machine a couple of weeks ago. She said, oh, I feel like the Hulk. And she'd never done it before. She was like, I never thought I could do that. And so then in a program, when I wrote it down, I thought, this is the Hulk machine. And she was like, did you do it on purpose? Absolutely. And even that, and it's, you know, you don't need to come to the gym and do squats and deadlifts, and you can also do it can be everything but that as well, which I think is important to highlight, because it's not just, and if coming to the gym and just getting 20 minutes on the treadmill, cool, like if that's a win for you, you know. And obviously we always encourage, like, you know, when we work into that strength training, that's where we can really transform our bodies as well and just feel stronger. I think so many people, I don't know whether you find this, so many people accept, oh, I feel achy, or I feel really tired all the time, or I feel really sluggish. that doesn't have to be the norm. And in fact, that you don't want that to be the norm, which I think, especially with the online coaching, we can sort of bring that into it as well. And yeah, in comparison with online coaching, I think it's so powerful what you can do for someone from just checking in. And, we always do more than the check-ins, we always get those client replies. But how do you find sort of that journey where you've sort of pushed more online? Because you're completely online now, aren't you?
Yeah. Scary. I think that's a self-limiting belief. I sometimes feel like I know it's good. I know it's a really good product. And sometimes I would argue that if I was to say just in-person PT or just online, I would say online. Maybe I'm biased, but just because I feel like you get a bit more. But that's what I mean. It's sometimes a limiting belief where I feel like, you're seeing me in person. So that's the value of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's sometimes hard because you're trying to sell something that there's no physical thing.
Yeah.
However, you're basically at beck and call. You have a PT in your pocket 24/7. They're sorting out everything for you. So they're getting like your training sorted. They're checking up on you, let's say, and they're building a community. They're holding you accountable. There's so many things. And I think it's really misunderstood.
Yeah.
Not misunderstood. People just don't know what it is. Like, you'd be surprised how many people. I would just be in Tenerife for the last 2 months. And I was at a nomad, like digital nomad, like working event.
Okay.
And they were like, so what do you do? I was like, I'm a PT, like online. They were like, how does that work? And I was like, well, I'll give them all this. And they were like, and they do what you say? I'm like, yeah,
my team are cool.
I feel like everyone knows what it is, but there are so many people that don't understand it, and I think they miss out on something they do, because PT can sometimes be expensive because you're seeing someone in person.
Yes,
especially for the PT as well. If you don't want to be in that gym or you don't want to be in the country like I do, then obviously it makes it harder. But you can still give them a great service as online. But it is hard, obviously, because I just think people don't know what it is. Yeah.
So I guess in terms of breaking it down, like, I don't know, obviously every sort of PT's check-ins run similarly. I don't know about you, but I cover sleep and stress and hormones as well, because a lot of people just bypass that, and it's like, well, actually, no, what is happening in your body? Why could this be happening? And it's understanding, and it's picking apart, because again, from diet culture, we'll go to Slimming World, like, you get on the scales, shame on you, you've gained this. Next, they don't even look at you, and it's like, what? But they could have had a saltier dinner the night before. They could have eaten a little bit later than they usually would. The list is endless. They could be coming on, but they don't ask any of those questions, and I find that's where all of that's missed. But with online coaching, it's like you say, a PT in your pocket, but it covers everything else as well. And it doesn't just have to be me giving you a program or me giving you macros. Let's pick apart, like, what's happening, what are your and it's turning it around on them as well. What are your struggles that you're going through, in like, what do you feel is your biggest downfall, and then sort of working it from that.
Yeah, I think it's working on the mindset and how people view themselves and how they view everything else. That's probably where they get the most value. My clients say it's the check-ins, because it's more so the language that they use and the way that they're seeing things. I think if a lot of people can change their perspective on certain situations, they get much different outcomes. And sometimes you just need someone to point it out, like when they're in their check-in saying, had a really good week, but Friday I had a Kit Kat, so this was a shit week. Well, no, it wasn't. Like, that's just one day. But you need someone to sort of like give you that feedback of, no, it wasn't that bad. Maybe you have had a good week. Maybe you just need to change your perspective on it. Maybe you're looking at this as like a really bad thing when it's actually not.
And also it's like such a small part of their week, but then everything else is like, I've done this, I feel good in this, and you're like, hang on a minute, let's read the room. Shit week, what are you on about? Oops, sorry. But it's it's analysing that, and actually feel good for what you can do, rather than what you think is being demonized. People, again, there's no good and bad food. Food is food. Like, there are more nutritious choices than others. And there are times where, if we're pushing for specific goals and we want to really push for those specific goals, we need to be a little bit more mindful of what's happening. But equally, we can still have those nice things and things that we enjoy, and you can still go out. And I think that's the biggest perception, or misconception around those. I don't know whether you find that with clients that are like, Isa needs to be like that, all or nothing.
I think a successful fitness journey is more about behavioural change than anything else. I'm not really asked about teaching you about squats. I am, obviously I want you to lift heavy, but it's really more the behaviour and the way that you see things. And this is where the online coaching stuff comes in. And I think this is the caveat I need to put in. When I say PT, and I talk down on it. It's more so the conventional way of doing it of I'll see you on Monday at 9 o'clock and then I won't see you again until next Monday.
Yeah.
So yes, okay, we might have had a good session, you might have sweated, but the problem is not what you're doing in the gym.
What's done between Monday to Monday, exactly. Not actually just on that Monday.
Exactly. So the conventional way of PT of like, oh, well, I see, like you're paying £40. Okay, I'll see you for an hour, but okay, I'll leave that session and I'll go to McDonald's, or I'll get to tomorrow and I'll just eat whatever I want. So that's not a problem. So with the online coaching, it allows you to break down, like look at all the things that you're looking at.
Yeah.
What are the decisions you're making every single day? Because that's the problem. The reason you are where you are now is a series of all little decisions that you're making. And when something happens, you react in a certain way. When you go over your calories by 10 calories, the next day you just go on a massive binge. So if we can change that, what's the different outcome?
Yeah.
If you have a bad session on a Monday, that's it for the rest of the week and you're going to start again next Monday. Well, if we can change that and you get back onto it on Tuesday, then you see what happens. And that's where I think the online side, because you get so much of a contact point, because you have someone to message, you have a group, what you should do. Not everyone does this.
I love my little group chat. It pops off every now and then.
When you have that resource to like at your disposal, you can slowly start changing the way that you see things. And the way, as soon as you change that, you don't know what's possible.
And I think that as well, like there's a few points that I've got from that, and bringing in the community, whether it's like, I mean, I have a massive team group chat. It doesn't get bombarded, but they, we talk about different things, because then you've got that more accountability. So my PT clients, my online clients, my just training program clients, and again, you don't want to just see them. In fact, I say to my clients, I'm like, don't ignore me till next Monday. We'll use the same example. When you next see me, because then they're like, oh, I've had this and this. Why don't you message me?
Yeah.
Tell me, update me. If you're really struggling, or you've been to the gym, or like whether it's good or like sort of highs and lows. And I think, but having that community as well from online coaching and having that sort of team effort, it then like, someone's put a meal in, and then that inspired everyone else that evening to shove in what they've had for dinner. Oh, I've cooked this and this. Actually, I've really pushed out of my comfort zone and done this today, and then someone else jumps on. And it's that accountability which makes such a difference as well. And like you say, with online coaching, it covers all of the in-between, and it breaks it down and makes those, like, we can really pick apart of like where you want to feel better. And again, it throws it on them, what this is sort of where your week is sitting, how do you feel like? And it then to them feed that back to you is quite powerful, because then you can give them sort of those tools and tips and tricks to improve on that little thing. Or, okay, why don't we try this week? If that's not working, okay, let's sort of look at a different approach. Because again, it's not one size fits all, and it's a development. And as they're improving, sort of, it goes, nothing's the same.
Yeah. That's the way it should be. Unfortunately, the online coaching space is not like that sometimes. Yeah. There are people that do take the mickey, and you do just get a one size fits all, and you have to do this way or no way. But the way I like to say it is like the plan for me and my clients is like the plan fits them, not you fit the plan.
Yeah.
So we find the way that you like to train, we find the way that you like to be, we find the way that you like to be accountable, we find the way that you like to be spoken to, and you can change all these little like bits and pieces to get the very best out of you.
Yeah.
So hopefully people listen to this, if they are considering online coaching, that's the sort of things you need to look for, because I've had clients that come to me and they've had an online coach and they get one message every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't think people appreciate the responsibility they have, like I was saying, of you being a coach, what impact that has and how that makes them see us. Yeah. And you make my job harder, because if you give someone a bad experience, then obviously it makes it hard, because everyone's like, well, I've had this before, it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to
be. And we've like got to pick everything out.
Exactly. And the community side, what you were saying there, like I had it recently because I just train women. So we've just got I've got a couple blokes in there, but it was little things like someone was a bit anxious to go to the gym, so they posted in the group that they weren't really feeling like going to the gym, and then everyone just bombarded like, go on, just go and do it, you'll smash it, you'll feel
now they have to go. Or not have to, but it does make them feel like, oh, actually, one, I'm not alone, and two, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. Well, it's all well and good me saying it like, yeah, go and do that, it sounds good, but sometimes just like, obviously they will take it in, but it's like, you're the professional, like
you're gonna say that.
When you're listening to someone that's just like you saying, I was the same, I had gym anxiety. I've got one client who used to text me, she went online straight away. I've been with her, she's had me a year now, but at first she was like, I can't go in the gym. She just sit outside and text me. I'll be like, just go in there, like just see how it goes. And then we did it again and again. Now she's just going to random gyms. She's got like the Pure Gym multi-access one. Yeah. She'll just rock up, does whatever she wants. She wears bloody like the little biker short things, which she would never do, but that's just come from like keep on going and going. And now she helps everyone else. Yeah. So sometimes the community can really grow and like get the very best out of you.
And I think inspire as well. And I preach this as a base for this podcast. And it's about being inspired by others. And you know, you don't have to accept that that's how you're going to be. You know, you can change things. It doesn't always have to be like that. But learn from others, speak to others. What are their experiences? What have they learned? And, you know, and I guess that's, even as a coach, like that's how, I don't know whether you found that in being a PT as well. Like that's how you learn from what other people around you are doing. And, you know, even I think we briefly worked together. If it was a very short amount of time at Jets, either I'd sort of just as I'd sort of come in, but and it's sort of learning those different styles of training and what people like and what people dislike, and I think that's really important to sort of highlight as well. We do have the best job in the world.
We do. It's a hard job though, because there is so many different bits and pieces, especially like now. It wasn't so much prevalent when I first started in 2019. The online side of things wasn't really there. It wasn't as hard as what it is now. Like you could post a crappy little Canva image and get like 400 likes, it'd be easy. Whereas now there's so much competition. There's so many people jumping on the bandwagon of being a PT. There's so many people unfortunately posing as PTs when they're not. Like it makes it so much harder. So there's so much competition, and I think it's hard when someone starts out because it's like, right, you're going to do this now and you might not get anything for the next 3 years, but you've got to keep going. You've got to keep showing up.
And I think it's pushing yourself. Like, I think everyone should always be challenged, like have a challenge, like to grow, to sort of push a little bit out of their comfort zone, whether that be in fitness and whatever, and what we push our clients for. But I find with myself, like it's constantly growing and pushing what else you can offer to clients and content that you can post, or really hilarious content.
Dressing up as women.
And I think people forget that on the PT side of things. It's like, okay, well, what else can we offer that, and just get out there, like little tips and tricks of, I find that when people come into the gym, because they don't know how to set up a chest press machine or how to adjust it, they'll avoid it. And that's with a lot of machines in the gym. And it's like, okay, actually break it down. And I find that in PT, a lot of people miss that, and it's explaining every little nitty gritty bit. So then next time that they come in, they have the confidence to do that themselves. And yeah, it's just sort of them understanding all those different parts. And I find that especially with content is a whole whirlwind, which obviously
it's only getting harder though. Like each year that puts it off, the bar is only getting set higher. Like before, when I started, you could get away with maybe not posting a like talking video. I could hide away on little written posts and not do anything. Whereas now it's like you're going to get left behind if everyone else is setting the bar higher of doing like comedy videos or whatever it is, like talking to making podcasts. If you're not doing that, you're just going to get left behind. Because you're not going to stand out. You're just going to like fade in with the rest of the crowd. So it's almost like challenging yourself. You've just got to keep pushing it up and up and up. And I think it's only going to keep continuing from there. Yeah,
hugely. And I think that's a challenge with sort of being self-employed as well. And you've got to constantly, you want, you know, what, there is room for everyone in the PT world, which I think is another thing that people are like, oh, it's competition. There is enough people for everyone, you know, and it's sort of getting like, sort of like this and getting together and just sort of, you can push yourself to like, you know, what there's going to be something that makes you that people are going to be attracted to, and whether it's you dressing up for certain videos or me screaming across the gym floor and being someone's loudest cheerleader possible. And I think that, and that's the best part. And when people are like, oh, you know, is I don't know whether you found this, it's really expensive or I can't afford that, but yet you'll go and have a takeaway for £40 a week. And, you know, and everyone's online coaching is obviously a different prices, and obviously depending on the level you do. I know in bodybuilding, obviously it can sort of go a bit crazy, and it's obviously on a very different sort of level to how we would be with our clients for lifestyle. And it's sort of prioritizing that. Where are your priorities? What do you actually want to do? You know, do you really want to make a change? Because you can, and that's really powerful to say, I think.
I kind of get it when they say it's expensive, because like we were saying, unfortunately, like,
we're a luxury.
Yeah, we are a luxury, but then you need to make sure that the person you're buying into is going to give you the service. You could buy into someone and then lose all that money, unfortunately. But hopefully, if you do enough research and you listen to people like podcasts or looking at their content, you can kind of decipher who's good or who's not. But there's one person, there's someone for everyone as well. But my whole philosophy on this is like, your body is the only thing you actually own. Like, you need to take the best care of it. And whether you're 20, 30, 50, whatever, at the end of the day, you've got to try and keep that as healthy as possible. And if you don't know what it is like that you're doing at the moment to make you unhealthy or to make you not feel a certain way, I think 6 months of spending, whether it's £200, £300, £400, whatever, is going to pay off massively
for the rest of your life.
Like, this
massively.
There is nothing more important than your body. If you cannot use your body, then everything else, like, you can't go out, you can't do all these things. You're going to get to 60 and be like crippled and just not, like, your quality of life's going to go down. And that can all kind of be subsided by just 6 months of just like focusing on how does calories work? Like, what can I do to make myself healthier? How can I feel more confident? How can I have more energy? And I just think there is not a price you can put on it.
No,
for
hugely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and that's where our job, I find, is the best job in the world. And you can really sit back and transform people's lives. And I think so many people accept that I'll always be like this, or I'll always do this, or you can change that. And we can, like, that's why we're here. It's just, all we're going to do is just give you all of those tools to understand it and learn about, like you say, calories and macros and why protein is shoveled down everyone's throats, because it's like, I find that so many people are like, oh my God, protein. And yet so many people still ask me, why do we have to have protein? Or why do we need good fats? Or, why we need carbohydrates, because so many people think they're the devil, and they're not. We need them. And it's understanding those, but why do we need carbohydrates on those days? Why, and that's what I love, and I guess the nerdy side of it as well, explaining to clients. Like, have you had many clients that sort of have really come and been like wowed by something? Like, I don't know, whether it be about protein or carbohydrates or the nutrition side of things. What do you feel like is the biggest shocker that people come to you about?
I just think just how easy it can be and how uncomplicated. I've just finished up the SCC, which is like a group program thing. But during that, I do like presentations. So I try and teach them about just the fundamentals. And a lot of time people just like, it wasn't as difficult as what I thought. It's like that simple. It was like something stupid. Like I said to a client about like cravings and snacks. If they want a chocolate bar, put that, like, have that as the first thing that you track, and then work your like rest of the meals in, so that you factored it in, and then you're not going over your calories, and you can still eat a Galaxy bar every single day. And someone was like, oh, that's really simple. Like, I never thought I can still do that.
Hugely. And I always say to clients as well, like, a lot of clients, their dinner and their sort of post-dinner, like, little snack pre-bed or whatever you want to call it, is their favourite thing. I'm saying, okay, so we will put that in first, and go around that. Okay, it might mean that, earlier in the day we need to amend things, or, but that's okay, because you're having your lovely dinner and it's nice and big. And I think people forget that. And, and I saw a great post from someone online yesterday, and he did, I don't know whether you follow Sean Casey, and he did a thing, and he ate sandwiches, just sandwiches, all day, every day, for every single meal for, I think, 6 weeks. And he was obviously in with his calorie deficit. And he was just, I think, again, so many people demonize bread and demonize sandwiches. And it's like, the sandwich is fine, have the sandwich. And he sort of showed his sort of transformation through that time. And I think all of those things that people just, I can't have that, I can't have that, I can't have that. You can have anything you want, we work it in with our plan, you work it into your goals, and your goalposts can always change, if you've sort of want to really build and grow, and understanding that side of things as well, which I'm finding now with clients who are sort of, obviously we typically, I don't know whether you find it, a lot of clients sort of, they want to sort of trim down or just feel a bit better and more confident in their self. Whereas actually it's really interesting when clients come to you, I want to grow, but it's like understanding how and the fundamentals of those things as well. And those different sort of, depending on what their goal is.
That's what I mean. There's so much to learn. That's what I said about the 6 month thing, all this stuff about the food side of things. And I think how much more enjoyable your life would be if you didn't have to think, I can't have bread. If you didn't have to freak out every time you said, do you want to go for a drink tonight? Or you didn't have to freak out after your holiday. You could just go and enjoy your holiday. You could like enjoy that experience a lot more. It doesn't make sense in my mind when people don't just jump into it. Like, if you get the right coach, it can completely transform everything. And like the knock-on effect, like, we might be sitting there sounding really nerdy of like, like once you understand protein and once you like know these things is really cool. But it's like there's a bigger implication of that. I say to people, it's like once you learn that, what is on the other side for you? Like, how much more confident you're going to be? If you're more confident, again, how is that going to be in your relationship? How are you going to get that promotion at work? Are you going to maybe start like saying no to people and start like having a different life? And then once someone sees you, and there's another thing that I say to my clients is like, once you get in shape, you don't know who you're helping. There are people in your life that are watching you, and like,
and you're the
they're
example.
Really doubting themselves, and they're really quiet, and then they see you. Sorry, like, bloody hell, like she's done really well. Like maybe I could maybe do that.
Yeah.
So like the fact that you've just tried and transformed, you've done it for yourself, but you might have helped
made
10,
an implication
15
on
people, and then that's a knock-on effect. If you
Yeah.
have 10 clients and the knock-on effect of that is 15 to 20 clients, like at 15 to 20 people, think about how much that grows and how many more people can just be happier, confident, just live the life they want to.
Yeah.
Because so many people don't, just because of the way they look or just because of the way they feel about food, and just like they're like trapped by all the stuff they maybe learn and all that sort
And
of
it
stuff.
just doesn't need to be like that. And it's also having that communication, which I think is something we really need to highlight with sort of your coach and having an online coach. You want to explain all the nitty gritty things to them. I find that you know, oh, how's your week been? Yeah, good.
I hate that.
Anything else? You know, why has it been good? What have you done that makes you feel good? And I think you've got to have the communication with your coach. And like, I mean, I can speak for myself here, but I tell John everything. And it's then, okay, I understand why these things are a struggle, or why is this a struggle? And he said to me the other week, he said, why are your low dose such a struggle? And I said, if you give me a bowl of oats in the morning, I'll be happy, just so I can, you know, that's my thing. And okay, well, if that means that you're less likely to feel more indulgent with other things and touch those here and there snacks that we're just trying to sort of be mindful of at the moment, cool.
Yeah.
And it's just something as simple as that.
Yeah.
And I think people don't communicate enough. And you know, I always say to my clients, you know, tell me more of these things. And you know, I've got a client that's previously struggled with a job at work, and actually that was the root of a lot of problems. And now she's feeling more confident in her sort of transformation and feeling more confident in herself. And now she's applying for other jobs because that's the root of that. She doesn't feel great. Like, you know, it's sort of that band-aid. You know, we're there to sort of help you. Obviously, we're not there to like get you a new job. We can't do that. But it's understanding the tools. And like I say, when you feel confident in one thing, it is like a butterfly effect on everything else.
So like I've said it somewhere else, but your level of confidence comes from your level of competence. So the more that you think you can do things and the kind of person that gets things done, that increase your confidence. And there are so many little bits within a fitness journey that can give you evidence of, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can increase the weight on the chest press. I can hit my macros. I can drop a pound. I can drop a dress size, whatever it is. And once you build that like bank, yes, I know it's exclusive fitness, but then you're like, actually, oh, fuck, like maybe I can do this. Maybe I can go for like what your client was saying.
Yeah.
And it's just, you've got so many opportunities just to keep building that evidence, keep building, that confidence grows.
Hugely. Do you find that sort of you've had to push to sort of how your clients communicate with you, or do you struggle sometimes with them sort of in check-ins? Or
I think at first, because I do a lot of video check-ins, so maybe the way that I speak, and that's why I exclusively started working with women, because I think the way that I talk, like they resonate
a little bit better.
I think once someone signs up with me, they've seen enough of me in the way that I like maybe talk about things, and they can feel that they can open up. But at first they are quite shy, and I just maybe gear the questions or the way that I allow them just to be honest with themselves. It depends on the person. Some people just verbal diarrhea, they're just like, everything comes out. But then some people are quite shy, but I think like eventually the more that they do it,
and the more confidence they have.
Yeah. And I'm a bloke as well, so sometimes women are just like, oh no, maybe you don't understand. And then but after like 2 or 3 weeks, then they just get it, and then it builds up from there.
Yeah, and it's sort of saying that. And I think all those little things when someone's like, oh, it's really small, but I'm like, I'm guarantee you it's not small. Like, you know, and I think people put themselves down on things like that as well. Oh, I only did this. Whoa, like insane. Like, okay, like, you know, let's sort of continue sort of that the vibe and just enjoying that and pushing to those little things, which can obviously then sort of you then look back and you're like, oh, I really struggled with that at the start. Now that's like I'm way beyond that, and I think that's really awesome. But
it is. It's just change. As I said, it's all behavioural change, and it's all changing the way you think about things. And when you start, because like my check-in starts with like, what's your 3 wins? What's your proudest moment? And that's not there as like a joke. It's like we start with the positive, but then you're seeking out things. At first, that question is like, well, I don't know what 3 wins have been this week. But they're looking at like, oh, I did a 100 kg squat, or I did something. I ran the marathon. I'm like, no. Sometimes it might just be I didn't have a glass of wine today. I got into the gym 3 times this week. It doesn't have to be like massive. But
I slept really well.
Exactly. We're just getting you programmed of just looking for these positive things, because that's the worst thing. Everyone like, I don't know if it's just in this country, but everyone just like talks badly of themselves or looks for the negative and cannot possibly celebrate all the things they've done. It's like, no, Like, let's look at all the
Be
good
proud
things.
of yourself.
Yeah, be happy about it. Write it down. Constantly remind yourself, and then you'll look for the like positives.
And it's that you time. I say to clients, like, your check-in time is your you time. Your gym time is your you time. Prioritize you, because then everything else you can actually like give to. You know, if you've got stresses or you're, I don't know, moving house or changing jobs, and yes, those things are extremely stressful, and we can have, life is a crazy roller coaster, and family and whatnot. But you know, if you have that hour, 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, to just breathe, and just you coming into the gym is focusing on you and you only, and it's making you forget about everything else. And I actually say to people, you know, when things are crazy and busy, be kind to yourself, but equally, you know, you're being kind to yourself by giving you that time, and by giving even if you feel like your check-in is just going to be a spiel of like, oh, this has been a bit rubbish, and okay, give yourself that time to reflect on that, because it's a reflection.
Yeah. And us, the whole you time thing, go into the, like, it's a 1 hour that nothing matters. All you got to do is go in there, like, lift some weights. You can completely block out whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't remember Eve that I used to have at Jets.
Yes, yeah.
She used to say all the time, so she was a carer for her mum. So she was like 70 and her mum was like 105 or whatever.
Amazing.
Rest in peace. And she used to say that was just her 1 hour. Like, the rest of the time is all about her mum. She has to take care of her mum. But that 1 hour was about her. She didn't have to think about anything else, and it just gives her that respite. And that's what I think a lot more people should use that, instead of staying at home, like being stressed out about work, and then coming home and just scrolling Instagram, scrolling TikTok, giving yourselves more reasons to hate your life because you're looking at everyone else and it looks like you've just seen the highlight reel.
What you're going to scroll on TikTok or Instagram is still going to be there an hour later.
It's just going to make you feel worse. I think people spend a lot of time indoors. They under appreciate like getting outside and sunlight and fresh air and just being in a different environment, especially working from home. If you work from home all the time, get out of the house.
And you probably find that it's sort of being online. I know you get on a lot of runs and things like that at the moment. And it's just that time to just, you know, my gym time, and when I train, that's my no one's taking that away from me. You know, my training's for me, no one else. And, you know, because I focus on my goals, and, you know, in exactly the same way, you know, we all do. I think people really underestimate how important that is.
Just use it as a tool. Like, it is, people don't use it enough. And just simple things like going for a walk or just simply going to the gym and going on the treadmill for 30 minutes. Like you said, if you're busy and stuff's happening, cool, but just give yourself that time. And it will just act as like a little reset, and you just feel so much better.
And you feel, you're not going to regret it ever.
Exactly. And I always say to people, like, just go. Even if you really don't want to go for 5 minutes. And if you really hate it, then leave. Yeah. Most of the time, you probably won't.
Yeah. At least be 10, 15,
exactly.
And then 30. Yeah, it just goes on. But yeah, no. And it's awesome highlighting all of these things. And I think, you know, and just highlighting a bit more about sort of the ins and outs of personal training and online coaching, because I think people are like, oh yeah, you're a PT, like, and actually no, like, you know, we can really do something and help a lot of people, and
you can change your life. Like, it sounds
cringe, doesn't it?
It sounds really cringe, but genuinely you can. Like, if you apply everything, if you get the right coach, they make you see different. Like, if we can change little things, what is the implication of that? What can change from a little period of time, like 6 months?
All from that little Premier Global course that now doesn't exist. and I think, you know, and I don't know whether you thought when you first started out, like, I had no idea what was ahead. I was like, let's just see what happens, and which is, and then you sort of look back and you're like, oh, 3 years have passed.
Mine was quite egotistical. I just did it because I enjoyed training people, and I was like, well, I love it, so everyone else is going to love it. But then I soon realised, okay, there's actually a bit more to this than that. Am I going to make a career out of it? You then see how it changes people's day. Like, that 1 hour was their best hour sometimes. If they had a bad day at work, you were like the highlight of their day. And then once you start seeing that, then you get a bit more into it, and then you want to just try and grow it from there.
Amazing. I think that pretty much concludes, like, we've done pretty well in covering everything there. But obviously, like, where can we find you as well? Because I know obviously I'll sort of pin all of your sort of socials and stuff, but you're on...
Main social is Instagram, so I say Luis Bulnes. I won't spell it out because it'll be in the show notes. But yeah, that's the main place. I do like emails and stuff. I do have podcasts, but it's mainly Instagram.
Yeah, amazing. And stay tuned for Lewis's dress up reels.
Yeah. There's a lot of really bad acting.
Which is always fun. And yeah, thank you again for joining, and good luck in Bali.
Thank you. Cheers.
Oh, I'm excited to see how that goes. But yeah, so stay tuned for episode 4 will be the next one, into a little bit insight of my bodybuilding journey. And yeah, thank you again, and I'll see you guys soon. A big thank you for joining me on my channel and tuning in. Find me on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Amazon and YouTube, A Diary to Empower. Follow me on Instagram, m_power.fitness and TikTok, m.ibert. See you on the next episode.